In this video, we're going to be discussing calls to action and not just how to use them, but how to use them in a way where your audience engages and takes the right action. Not just a action, they're not just doing things, they're doing the right thing. Hello and welcome. My name is Brett Henderson with Clickmill.co. Most church leaders are unknowingly de-incentivizing their audience from taking action. They're actually unintentionally confusing their audience, and we don't even know that we do it. Now, in this video, we're going to be discussing calls to action and how to use them effectively. But before we get into that, why don't we just identify what a call to action is and maybe even where we see some of them in Scripture used by Jesus himself. So a call to action is a clear, concise request for someone in your audience to take a specific action. A call to action allows the hearer, your audience, to say yes or no. It's not an open question. It's not an opinion question. It's just yes or no. Those are the options, and it clarifies it. And it also allows your audience to freely make the decision without any kind of cudgeling, without any blame or shame or guilt or anything else. All of those strategies, especially when we're like, we don't have enough volunteers. Hey, would you be willing to volunteer? Oh gosh, well, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's really important. And that's where people start to feel unsafe and they avoid volunteering with your church. So a volunteer call to action is, hey, would you be willing to volunteer? If they say yes, great. If they say anything else, that's okay too. And we're going to give them 100% free choice and create this safe environment, because when people feel safe, they're more likely to say yes in the future. Now, where does Jesus use calls to action in the New Testament? And they're actually really frequent, which is exciting because we have lots of examples of good ones. I'm going to share 3 with you now. Okay, so for example, Jesus says, go and sin no more. He says, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And another example with the rich young ruler, he says, go and give all of your possessions to the poor, and then come and follow me. Now, yes and no answers. Go and sin no more. I don't want to do that, right? So either no or yes. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. What did Peter, James, and John say? Yes, I will do that. I will follow you. I will be a fisher of men. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And the rich young ruler, and this is one that I think is particularly interesting. Jesus says, go give away all your stuff and come with me. And he says, I don't really want to do that. He went away sad. Now, even though he's sad, it doesn't say anything about Jesus following him or pleading with him or convincing him. Jesus allowed the guy to just make his choice and move on with his life. And that's okay to do, right? People get their choice. So that is what a call to action is. Those are some examples of how Jesus is calling his audience to action. And you'll notice it's 100% clear. Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. It's follow me. There's no way they could possibly be confused with what Jesus is asking, because it's so clear. He's not saying, follow me and follow me on Facebook and, subscribe on YouTube and do all of these other things, join online, join in person, all of these things. I'm confused, but what do you really want me to do? The disciples never asked that. Jesus said, at this step in your journey, this is what you do. 100% clear and simple. Now, later down the road, as they're discipled and as they're prepared, hey, go out into all the towns. Don't take your staff with you. Don't take your money purse with you. Don't do any of that. Do this. Yes or no, right? New call to action for a new place on their journey, but still one call to action. So you'll see how there's a progression of more, higher commitment calls to action as that relationship progresses. But right now, do this one. So now that we understand calls to action, what they are, and that there's a progression of calls to action at individual moments along the journey, we have to then identify what's the journey with your audience. Now, this is going to be addressed in another video, and this is called your audience's journey, your churchgoer journey. Where are we taking them? What's the pathway we have for them? One of the biggest mistakes, and again, this is in that video, so I won't go too far into this, but one of the biggest mistakes we make there is we shotgun the whole journey out all over the place right at the get-go. Go on a mission trip. That's like in the relationship, you're dating. That's like marry me. Come on, let's go to Iraq. What? this is scary, I'm out of here, okay? No, we start them with a call to action and then we build them up. And so again, we're gonna cover all of that in a video on your churchgoer journey. I'll put a link to that up here at the top of the video somewhere. In terms of calls to action and confusing our audience, firstly, they're not clear, so we've just clarified our calls to action. It's super clear, there's no confusion. We either have not enough calls to action or too many. Now, on the not enough side, this is less common, but still happens. We assume, right? You might assume that your audience knows what you want them to do. You can talk till you're blue in the face about this outreach that you're doing, across town and how you're doing it after church today. And, there are people signing up and we're going to make a difference. That is not going to get people to sign up because it is not a call to action. Psychologically and, biblically, fleshly, people take the route of least resistance, the path of least resistance. People conserve energy. If you don't specifically ask them, call them to action, they're probably not going to do it. It doesn't matter if it's across town or if it's in front of the church. If you don't specifically ask them, we do not have, because we do not ask, they won't commit. And so you have to know what you want them to do very specifically and give them a call to action, at least one. And we saw Jesus in the scriptures, right? Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men, right? So very specific call to action. The alternative is too many calls to action, and we're going to talk about that. But how many is an acceptable number of calls to action? I'm going to go with 2 at any particular step in your audience's journey. Now, that said, I have used 4 at the very most in very limited and narrow circumstances. Now, I wouldn't encourage you to do that. Narrow it down to 2 on the step your audience is at. Now, with that, I'll just say we'll go with 2 here. And beyond that, people are confused. I was training an intern yesterday, and we were looking at a church website. And church websites are the greatest place to actually understand if you're using too many or too few. Most ministry leaders are too many. And the reason is because if we're, as a ministry team, if you're super clear on what you want your audience to do, it's going to be reflected through the website. You're contacting your ministry, your media team, and you're saying, hey, make sure these 2 things are everywhere. But that's very intentional. If we're not sure what we want people to do, or we just assume they know, the media team does the same and they don't put any calls to action. Instead, if we're excited about a lot of things, hey, we're doing this, add this to the website, and now the website is just overflowing with calls to action. And this was the case as I was training my intern. We were on a ministry website, a multi-site church website, and on the home page, we counted 27 calls to action. And I asked the intern, I said, what do they want you to do? And she assumed that there was an answer. She was like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Of course you don't. There's 27 things. Join men's ministry, join women's ministry, join our all-night prayer, join this, join that. Check out our Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, go to Pinterest, tithe, donate, join online, join in person. What am I supposed to do? Right? Those are probably things on your website. I don't know what to do, and neither does your audience. And so we have to very strategically choose the calls to action that are appropriate for the step that they're on in the journey. So go ahead, look at your ministry strategy and say, how do we cut down our calls to action to 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 for this step? And again, you can have more later as people progress on the journey your church has them on. But on this step, what is it that you're asking them to do? Clarify it and make sure you ask, and your audience will take the right action every time. Don't stop now. We have tons of other videos for you to watch and learn how to reach more people more effectively. If you love this video and you don't want to miss out on what we have coming up for you next, go ahead, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to keep up to date with our newest content. If you want to work with Clickmill personally, head on over to clickmill.co, where you can learn more about our proven ministry marketing strategies. I look forward to seeing you in the very next video.